Hi there, welcome back to my Welsh garden. We've had a really dry, warm spring right through April into May and early June. Last couple of weeks been a bit more changeable, and the last couple of days we've had an incredible amount of rain which the garden really needed. So let's have a quick tour of how things are getting on. Okay, so lots of veg coming on in this part of the garden. Beetroot, there's some beetroot virtually ready for pulling. They'll be raised in the next week or two. Onions are coming on really well. Need some nice sunny weather now for those bulbs to expand to nice size onions. Whilst we're here, this is an interesting little plant. A neighbour of mine gave me these very small plants earlier in the year. They're Inca berries. Never grown these before, but apparently a very nice sweet fruit. Some other stuff growing on the back wall here, a couple of a pear tree, a plum tree, and a vine that I've stuffed in. And just down on the bottom there I put some leek seeds in. They are virtually ready now to transplant out, but they're not going to be transplanted out until the broad beans have gone over, because I need the room in that raised bed. In this raised bed here, these are parsnips. Again, won't be pulling these for a number of weeks and into the autumn, but they're really healthy. A couple of rows of carrots, another row of beetroot, which they come through the summer. Some are ready for pulling now, they're about golf ball size. We've also got parsnips and carrots that were spare seeds put in these containers here. We've been pulling some of the carrots already because they're just too many in a row or in a pot, but they come for we call them thin-ins, and they go in with a salad. They're really small carrots that are lovely in a salad, as I say. But the ones in the main bed here now, they are almost ready for harvesting because they're coming up to be quite a decent size. Hoping for a really good crop on carrots this year. On the next raised bed, here's the sweet corn that went in the early part of May. So these are, as you can see, well over 4 foot tall now. Again, hoping for a really good crop there. Okay, it's like being in the jungle back this end of the raised beds. These broad beans obviously been competing with the sweet corn for height, but they are now absolutely packed with really quite big pods, and these are going to be picked today. Been really good this year with very little black fly. Pinched all the tips off early, and as you can see, some of these pods are really massive and they are full of big broad beans, which they're going to be picked in the next couple of hours. Just next to these, the first row of runner beans full of flowers. Blackbirds are pinching some of the red flowers off, unfortunately, but within that lot there are small beans, plenty of small beans coming, so I would say we'll be picking beans by the end of next week. Okay, this is the newest part of the garden. We took a bit of decking up here. I think I mentioned that in the last episode. This is the second crop of runner beans. Very healthy, flowering really low down, and they're the way to go. Most of them are up the top of the 8 foot sticks. Then on my left hand side here, in this raised bed, and these are a second batch of sweet corn, and in between the sweet corn I've got dwarf French beans, which are, yeah, there's loads of flowers, but there's some young beans, so we'll be picking them this week as well, hopefully. And then down on the lower side of this bed there's another row of dwarf beans, plenty of some radish, which we've been pulling throughout, some lovely radish. And there's 8 tomato plants, Roma tomato plants that I grew from seed. Started them off in March in the extension, and it's been warm enough since the beginning of June for these to be grown in the open air now, and there's plenty of flowers coming on them. They look really healthy. This is my pride and joy here. These are all my vine cuttings. These are all 1-year-old cuttings from clippings I took last year. They're coming on really well. This is the overspill part of the garden. Some parsnips in pots. Some of Sandra's sunflower seeds, nothing to do with me. These are butternut squash and an outdoor cucumber in the middle there, another butternut squash. Never grown these before, again from Jeff, my neighbour, give me them to try. And just put these tomatoes in here. These are Roma tomatoes grown from seed, and again with the weather being in the early 20 degrees centigrade and plenty of sun and all that rain we had this week, they are just flying, so all looking good. Okay, I've come into the greenhouse now. It's like the tropics in here. This is where I got 7 grapevines, and these are really well advanced. Every bunch is now coming on. I've got pea-sized grapes, some are almost grape-sized grapes, some beautiful bunches of grapes developing on all the vines, so I'm really hopeful of a good crop from the greenhouse this year. Here's the tomato greenhouse, 6 tomato plants, all full of flower, plenty of tomatoes on the lower trusses. Another couple of weeks we'll be picking tomatoes. 2 really healthy cucumber plants in there which are also full of flower, and also lower down there's a couple of cucumbers which in a week or 2 will definitely be ready for picking. Here's a couple of the outdoor vines. These are 6-year-old plants, and again they've really good this year, benefited from that nice sunny warm weather early doors, and they've all pollinated, and there's small grapes on each of these now. They're about 4 weeks behind what's in the greenhouse for obvious reasons, but healthy looking plants, and the real benefit of what I need to do today, which is tie a lot of these shoots up, pinch out some of the extra growth, but also it's the time now to start stripping back some of these leaves, and they form beautiful little packages for forming Greek stuffed vine leaves, which we'll be having for supper tonight. Some beautiful vine leaves for making dolmades, stuffed Greek vine leaves for supper tonight. Polikala. Here's another little overspill part of our veg garden. This was previously a flower bed, but taking advantage of plenty of time on our hands this year, put a dozen or so broad bean plants in. Just look at the size on these. These are fantastic this year. They're going to be picked in the next hour. And also in this bed there's some dwarf French beans, which again full of flower, and plenty of small beans, so this week I think we start picking some of them. And here's 6 tomato plants. These are all Roma grown from seed. Very nice spot from here on the deck. This little spot gets sun from midday through till about 7 o'clock in the evening, so it's perfect. And as you can see, there's these are already in flower, first truss is set, so these will give us tomatoes into the autumn. And here's the first pickings of our broad beans. That's about a quarter of the crop picked. A lot of the pods still quite big that we've left on, but they need to fill out a bit more. So looking forward to another couple of pickings in the next couple of weeks. That's all for now. Cheers, bye.
Bye.